All right, shalom, shalom first and foremost. As always, I'd like to start off by giving all the praises, honor, and the glory to Yahweh, Ba'Hashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'Hashem, HaKadosh. The honors to the apostles and then to the elders, Great Millstone, GMS, Tommy's Truth. Honors to the brethren and the fellow Akim. Let's push out this truth with all sincerity and in faith into what Yahweh, Ba'Hashem, Yahweh Shai, for allowing me once again to come back with another lesson. And the title of this lesson is simply going to be titled, Thou shalt have no other gods before me. Okay, and because when you look at, and this is just me and my thoughts today, when you look at our people, and I'm talking about all of our people, all the tribes, every last one of them from Judah all the way down to Issachar, they are all, they all are people who the world would say love God, and who believe in a higher power, white folks, you got some of them that do, but it's most of them believe in science and believe in all these other extra BS, and then these other nations have their gods that they worship, but for the most part, the people who you're going to see in church are going to be so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. And with that being said, they worship who the world calls Jesus Christ, which when our people say, praise Jesus and I love Jesus Christ and saying all this stuff, they're really calling out to a different God, a different power that is not their power, their true power, which is our power, the one we serve, which is Yahweh, that's who you would call God, okay? Because you have people who believe God and the Lord are the same, and they're completely two different people. They're two individuals, but are both of them? They're all in the same mind. They believe they're all in the same accord, or as you would say to somebody like your best friend, but we're on the same page. And that's how the Heavenly Father and the Son are. But when our people call upon Jesus Christ and say all this stuff, they're calling upon a different God. Who they truly should be calling upon is the name of Yahweh Shai, because that's his true name. And you'll have people, well, it doesn't matter, the Lord knows your heart, and it does matter. The scriptures talk about how, let me just grab it, I believe it's Exodus 23, because the Lord, he's very particular, and when he says something, he just doesn't say it to, you have that, that grandmother, that uncle, or your mother, your father, they'll say, hey, when I tell you something, I ain't just saying it to say it, I really mean it, right? And the Lord really means this. Let me see if I can find it. 23 and 15. Please, Exodus 23. I know it's in 23. Yeah, 13, Salakia. This is Exodus 23 and 13, and it says, in all things that I have said unto you, be circumspect, and make no mention of the name of other gods, neither let it be heard from thy mouth. So that's a direct, that's the Lord said, don't mention no other gods, and don't even let it fly at your mouth, And the Lord said that he meant that. And then when you go, matter of fact, since we're here, let's go to here, the Ten Commandments. Let's see what it says here in Deuteronomy 5, Deuteronomy 1 and 8. Let's see. 1 through 8. I know it says something down here. It says, this is Exodus or Deuteronomy 1 and 6, I believe. 5 and chapter 5, verse 6. I am the Lord thy power, which brought thee out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of bondage. And thou shalt not have no other gods before me. Thou shalt not make any graven image of thee, or any likeness of anything that is above. Okay, that's actually what we're reading here. Let's start from the top. This Deuteronomy. I got Deuteronomy on the head. Exodus 21, and it says, And the Heavenly Father spake all these words, saying, I am the Lord thy power, which have brought thee out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of bondage. And that's where we were made to serve with rigor. And it says, And thou shalt have no other gods before me, which is plain and simple. Thou shalt not make unto thee any graven image, or any likeness of anything that is in heaven above, or that is in the earth beneath, or that is in the water under the earth. So the Lord's covering everything. I don't want you looking over here for no God. No, there. It's almost like if you had I wouldn't say I had a super crazy woman like that. They're all crazy, but there are levels. But like you'll see on like the internet these videos of, the woman. Oh, I better know where your location is, and it'll be like a race thing. Like this, how black girls are with their man or Mexican, whatever, right? And they'll be like, what were you doing between from 6:30 to 6:45? There's a gap there, and what were you doing? So the Heavenly Father is treating his people as if it's a woman, which we are. Like I don't want you going over here. I don't want you going over there. You better not even look their way, right? Almost what you would call today controlling, and it's true though, because we are his woman. We are his woman. Israel as a whole, the nation of Israel, we are his woman, and he is our husband. And when we go and we serve and worship all these other gods and worship them and bow down to them and do the things that are likened unto them, it angers the Heavenly Father. Just as if your woman, or let's say if you're a man, your woman's bigging up another dude, talking about how handsome he's looking there, and then vice versa as well. Like that's gonna upset your partner, your girlfriend, or that's gonna upset your, you know what I mean? If you even like for a dude, you see another woman, she looking good, and like you're not gonna say nothing out loud, but if you were to be the guy that does, your woman's gonna be looking at you like, motherfucker, I'm gonna kill you when we get home. Like so that same feeling, that same feeling and emotion that we have to our partner, whether they they looked at somebody in the store some type of way, that's the same way the Heavenly Father feels when he sees his people going out and worshiping these other gods, having them in their homes, wearing them around their neck, worshiping them in stones, all these things. So the Heavenly Father sees that and he gets upset, and even says it, and it says, and thou shalt not bow down thyself to them nor serve them, for I am the Lord thy power, meaning I'm your man, I'm your husband, I'm the one you need, which is true. I'm your God. It says, I am the Lord thy power, am a jealous power. You see, so he is a jealous power, visiting the iniquity upon the fathers, or visiting the iniquity of the fathers upon the children unto the third and fourth generation of them that hate me, and showing mercy unto thousands of those that love me and keep my commandments. So the mercy of Yahweh Shem Shai is going to be bestowed upon those that keep his commandments. And one of his commandments is this, that thou shalt have no other God before me. And the reason why is because, first of all, we go on ahead and do those things. Let's just say you're the one that does that thing. You go worship other gods, which you're breaking a law. And I believe it's a law that, it doesn't have any good consequences behind it. Not at all. You're going to get jacked up. But those of us that don't do those things and participate in those kind of behaviors, that's because we have the fear of Yahweh Shem Shai in us. And that's what you need in order to abstain from those things. because the way, let me read this, is the book of Ecclesiasticus, chapter 1 and verse 21. And it says, the fear of the Lord driveth away sins, which, one of the sins of if that a person is able to commit is the act of, worshiping of the gods, idolatry, right? Idolatry or sacrilege, right? Or I'm sorry, not sacrilege, forgive me, but to sum it up, idolatry, any form of idolatry. Whether it's, because our people were into all kinds of BS, worshiping the sun, worshiping the moon, worshiping this, all the stars, the animals, and the constellation, and all this stuff, right? And it says, but if you have this fear, it's going to keep you away from those kind of behaviors. It says here, the fear of the Lord driveth away sins, and where it is present, it turneth away wrath. You see, so wherever the fear of the Lord is present, it's going to turn away the whooping and beating stick that the Heavenly Father has in his hands at all times for whoever wants it. Those that do not listen and adhere to his rules. Okay? And that's why you have to abstain from the main thing that driven us away from the Heavenly Father, which is the first thing that we did is worship other gods. Because at the end of the day, and I'm going to end it on this, this is what the gods are. This is all that they are. This is the book of Psalms, chapter 115, and verse 1. And it says, not unto us, O Lord, not unto us, but unto thy name give glory. For thy mercy and for thy truth's sake. And wherefore shall the heathen say, where is now their God? But our God is in the heavens, and he has done whatsoever he hath pleased. Their idols are silver and gold, and the work of men's hands. They have mouths, but they speak not. Eyes have they, but they see not. They have ears, but they hear not. Noses have they, but they smell not. They have hands, but they handle not. Feet have they, but they walk not. Neither speak they through their throats. They make them, and it says, and they that make, so let me read the 7th verse again. And it says, and they have hands, but they handle not. Feet have they, but they walk not. Neither speak they through their throats. See, so they're just nothing, There's just nothing in there. It's like a treasure box when you got no treasure in it. It's useless. It's nothing. And it says, they that make them are like unto them. So is everyone that trusteth in them. O Israel, trust thou in the Lord. He is their help and their shield. O house of Aaron, trust thou in the Lord. He is their help and their shield. O Israel, trust thou in the Lord. He is their help and their shield. O house of Aaron, trust in the Lord. He is their help and their shield. Ye that fear the Lord, trust in the Lord. He is their help and their fear. You see that? So that's what we have to do, is to rely on Yahweh V'Hashem Yahweh Shai. Not in stones, not in wood, not in any of the BS other gods that our people are so heavily invested in, because you're our people, they're either into wacky-tacky Christianity, all right, Egyptology, Hinduism, or fucking you a Muslim or whatever, right? But at the end of the day, all our people, when they're even in those things that they do, that they try to involve themselves in, they're full of shit when they're involved in it, doing it, because they don't really believe. They're just looking for something, but the thing that they're looking for has been right in front of them their entire lives. They're just blind and are not able to see it. But through the men of Yahweh Shem Shai, who Yahweh Shem Shai set up to go out into the highways and the byways and to teach and to preach, we have a job to do, is to tell them and to give them, as Peter said, to stir up your pure minds by the way of remembrance, because we once knew, that's all we knew is, I just know Jesus Christ and he loves me and da-da-da, right? That was us at one point. That was me. But then I later came across this truth, and then I found out Yahweh Bashem Al Shai. You know, and that's what we need to continue to do until the end, is to teach and to preach in those names, because those names have power behind them. You know, and I was gonna say, and disembowel all the clowns that are out here, you know, that are saying, "Oh, that's like the names no more." You know, you still got those stragglers around. But at the end of the day, the will of Yahweh Hashem Al Shai is going to prevail no matter what, no matter who this world sends to try to, you know, shake this movement up. It ain't gonna happen. All right. But through the Spirit, I'm going to go ahead and end here. I pray this lesson was edifying, exhorting, and comforting. And as always, I want to give all praises, honor, and the glory to Yahweh Bashem Al Shai, Bashem Akakwadash. And it's on to the next one. Shalom.